we get an assassin dagger, which is 20k. So that's quite nice. But what I was trying to say before that is I might actually start doing that. That way you guys can get the content distributed to you at a little bit of a better rate. And, you know, just so that on days that I normally wouldn't have content, I can go, oh, you know, I've got this to post, and that'll be nice, very nice. So there's a shockhead to the south, so we move a little bit north to try to avoid that getting onto us as long as we can. And that Frazzle Maw goes down. And he gets some more gravel, so he's definitely close to a bucket. But there's a shockhead here. We actually end up avoiding it. And I don't know how long their waves are, but I imagine they must be pretty big because that was off screen, you know. And I start using my thunderstorms, deal damage to both, and gonna finish him off with a wave. And I think he actually just finished it off, but that's fine. We're dealing some pretty nice damage together anyway, so not really too much of a concern there. And there's some more gravel. And I don't know if the gravel will just like disappear if you don't get to it, but I'm assuming probably not. I would hope I understand they have to reset it after a while, but so his bucket definitely has got to be somewhat close to being done so we can get working on ours again. And yeah. Definitely not too bad, and unfortunately, I end up getting both the Frazzle Maw and the Silencer on me, and end up getting hit pretty heavily, actually. But these things happen, not a big deal. And hopefully he can get them back on him so I can get a nice wave in, and that ends up happening. If you guys have any suggestions other than what has been suggested plenty of times, like I plan on eventually trying to hit all the Caves of the Lost, and I've heard that the one under Dwarf Hell is actually significant, so I would like to hit that one up, although I know I haven't yet. Alrighty, it's back to me on the buckets, so hopefully we're actually getting gravel at a pretty fast rate. Definitely faster, I think, than if we were doing this alone. And he ends up getting some gravel for me. And it's saying my bucket is already chock full of gravel. So I don't know if I'm able to get more. I don't know if it has to be the first bucket in your inventory, or oh, I can mix these. Duh. So I've got gravel and chalk in a bucket, and that's nice. Then I have another bucket of gravel. And I've got to get some more chalk. So, and there's some right here. At least I think it is. Yep, you just click on it. And chalk residues. What is it saying? The amount of chalk lying on the floor is full. That's no good. Alright, let's try over here. You fill some chalk into a bucket, so I'm getting some in there. Oh, I forgot some. And I think there's one up here too. Yep. So I've almost got another bucket of chalk. And we might reappear in a different place. And that's actually what ends up happening to me and not him. But that's alright because I need to get some more anyway. And I know I keep trying to... And I get a bucket of chalk. So now I have 2 buckets of gravel and chalk. And we are now at the north entrance of where we just were, so I think we're fine to head down from here. Definitely doing quite well on loot. Experience isn't so great, but like I said, we're not here for that. We're here for the more than anything, the questing aspect. But the loot sure is appealing. I'm glad that they just didn't make all these drop like the shock heads. That would be rather disappointing. And yeah, unfortunately, since we did have to go get some chalk, it looks like they have probably spawned back in almost full force because the mobs here are huge, and that's just what they do. And I pick off the shock head. And I get a Frazzle Maw and a silencer. Not intentionally, but these things happen. And time to get another wave out. And my magic level has certainly been lowered. But we're going to do what we can. And it looks like it's back up, so time to get those good hits on him. And yeah, I've already gotten 15 great mana pots, so that's killer. Ooh, and I actually moved ahead a little too quick there, so if he ends up getting 2 on him, that's actually my fault, but hopefully that doesn't end up being the case. And yeah, those things definitely lower magic level because I was just dealing far more damage to it before it switched on me. So yeah, definitely not the best thing in the world. And I was waiting for it to switch over. That's unfortunate that it just at first decided, nah, I'm going to stay on you. Because I was trying to get those waves and beams off as quick as possible. You know, get that damage in fast. And of course it switches, but hopefully I can still manage to... Nope, of course not. Alright, so I'm going to Thunderstorm because they're both at pitiful amount of health. And we get a Titan Axe out of him. So Titan Axes have actually become far more common than they used to be for those of you who do not know. And I end up spawning another Frazzle Maw on him, which didn't mean to do that. That was actually kind of an accident. Although I probably should have waited until... Yeah, my magic level is terribly lowered. And it looks like it's back up now, so that's good because I'm trying to drop these as quick as possible. And he finishes them off with an Exori, so that's cool. Another iron ore, and they drop 3 different types of add-on items, as I've always called them. I know they're more so creature products, but when I think of creature products, I think of the light items that sell for a bunch of NPCs and that you really only want to sell to NPCs because there's no other purpose than selling them. Of course, if you don't have the proper NPC, then you might sell them to a player, yes, but you guys know what I'm saying. And add-ons have been around for a much longer time than the useless but expensive creature products that we see now. And I am getting some pretty poor luck with the Frazzle Maws here, but that's alright. And I'm assuming I'm going to need another life ring soon. 4 seconds. Well, that was a good assumption, huh? And I'm guessing if we go back to this one, it'll be back, and it is, but some creatures may too, not sure. A Frazzle Maw, of course. But I actually have 2 buckets of gravel and chalk, so that's definitely a good thing. That'll advance me a decent bit on the quest, and I think I already had one, because, or I was already super close to getting one and probably only used 1 or 2 of ours in order to get it. And there's another creature to the south, and that's actually a shockhead, so I'm going to avoid that, as I do not want my magic level getting drastically reduced. And it's a little late for that, unfortunately. But luckily the magic level does bounce back at a pretty quick rate, so not much to worry about. And another, that's like 4 or 5 Frazzle Maws in a row. That's just plain bad luck. And I don't know how long he intends on hunting with me for, but however long, I'm probably going to stick around for a little bit by myself, depending on, I mean, hopefully he'll stay at least until my first round of supplies is gone, just so that, you know, I actually have a reason to head back into town and restock, rather than just having to, because it would be somewhat, I don't know if it would be entirely dangerous for me to stay here by myself. I probably wouldn't be in this lower area. I'd probably just be sitting in the area that I know is safe. And unfortunately there was a tree right there which I didn't see. I clicked down and then hit my energy beam key. So, and unfortunately a lot of these creatures use beams and waves like very frequently. So while using my attacks that are gonna actually damage everything, well, mostly everything, I end up actually getting hit pretty hard. And sometimes it's a little scary, but if I've survived here alone, then I'm pretty sure I'm going to be alright with a knight helping. And it looks like it switched on me for a brief moment, only to run back to Raven. And finally we get some more gravel. Finally. Cool, cool. As the amount of, I think we got like 5 or 6 in a row. You guys know if you've been watching and actually paying attention. It's a little bit more difficult for me, you know, I'm trying to focus, and he's out of buckets, so I'm going to throw him one. And the Frazzle Maw both want to piece at me, it looks like, but I pick that one off from afar, and we get to focus on this guy. And there's another. I was trying to throw him a bucket. And luckily, as I have the silencer on me, I run up and end up producing some gravel. And they are pretty susceptible to energy when they aren't busy lowering my magic level to absolutely shitty proportions, but I'm going to use Rage just to, I was trying to actually finish up the silencer, but that didn't go quite as well as planned. 8 platinum coins, yeah, these things are even better than Soul Eaters for plats, if you can believe that. At least it would appear it. I would have to actually compare loot statistics to know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they're better. And of course, I knew it was too good to be true. Far too many gravels in a row for it to stay that way. And unfortunately, I end up missing that energy beam. That's alright though. And that Frazzle Maw is down. And yeah, what I was trying to say earlier is they drop 3 different types of products. They drop iron ore, fish fins, and hardened bones. So they're pretty nice for getting all that stuff done. And getting a lot of them. I've actually collected a bunch already. And we're going to see what my percentage to level is. It's looking like I'm only 13% to 264, and I think about the last half of this level has actually been gotten here, which is almost as slow as demons. It's actually a tiny bit faster, and I think on average the loot would probably be close to demons, so it's not quite as discouraging as demons are, at least in my opinion. But you guys already know that I'm fed up with demons. And someone recently asked me how many demons I was on. So I'm going to get that for you right now because I don't even remember. 3,587. So I basically got about 3K left. So I'm over halfway. And it gets on me and then switches to him. And I don't even know if Frazzle Maw is actually reduced magic level 2 because, or if it was just like a shock head off screen or something, because my SDs are hitting a tiny bit lower than they should. It looks like it's back up to 92, and it's 92 with all my boosting equipment, mind you. Although I'm sure most of you were probably already aware of that. And I wish now that I'd actually spent more money just using pots on, you know, even just getting my magic level up by making runes, because now it just drags in comparison, which everyone, actually a lot of people were saying to me, you know, you're gonna hate it once you get back to normal. And they were certainly right about that. And it looks like I actually spilled the water I had on the ground instead of mixing it. Yep. So that's okay. I can always get more water. That's the easy part of the quest. The chalk is pretty easy too in comparison to the gravel. So time to, and I get some gravel produced for him. Alright, so we're gonna head up. And right here I'm able to throw down a nice amount of thunderstorms. And I'm hoping that this isn't too much for him. and I let off a Rage of the Skies to deal massive damage. And since he's right there, the silencers aren't able to make my hits absolutely terrible, which is nice. I don't know if he's leaving or... And we get 3 Frazzle Maws. So that is a heavy amount of creatures. And actually quite scary to me. But I let off a Rage of the Skies, like I said, just to deal as much damage as I possibly can. And that Frazzle Maw is just staring at him outside of the area that it can hit him. That's kind of funny. But I stay on it, and I'm switching to explosions here, as I think I might be able to deal a little bit better damage with them. And I don't know if we just got another gold ingot, or what the hell that was. Let's see, did we? Yes, we did. Cool. So another gold ingot, so I think we've gotten like 3 to 4. I'm going to have him show the loot off at the end. And I just potted him up just to help him out, since he seemed to be low on manas. And I know that that can be a risky game. So I'm going to have him trade with the loot so I can show it to you guys. Because I'm curious as to how much we got, and I'm sure you guys are too. So we're going to check this out. And there's the Terra legs. There's a ton of gold, size, an assassin dagger, all the plats, Titan axe, another pair of size, 5 gold ingots, 2 small sapphires, 12 frazzle tongues, 7 iron ores, 12 brown crystal splinters. So that's actually pretty nice. And I'm going to go to him and sell some flasks. We're going to restock here. And I should have grabbed some more chalk while he was with me. But he was running terribly low on manas, so he wanted to scoot, and I completely understand that. It's definitely dangerous. And we're going to grab some more SDs. Does he not sell SDs? No way. Oh, wow. He sells the same as the Adron guy. No way. That's crazy. So, that's actually kind of unfortunate. And my quest log has been updated. We get a bucket full of mortar. So that is certainly a good thing. And we're going to get another bucket full of mortar. And we just need some chalk and a little more gravel. I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple more buckets, as there is some laying around here, which is pretty helpful considering you kind of need those. And that's a bucket of chalk, isn't it? It is. Awesome. We actually need that. So I'm going to pick that up and combine it with that. So now we just need to get the water, and then I'm going to use these mortars up and kill my way to the stairs, and I'm going to end the video. So definitely want to take it easy here, because it seems like every time I go a tiny bit north I end up getting absolutely mobbed. And of course that's what ends up happening. But taking out the Frazzle Maw first, as that is what I started on. And we're going to go with that same strategy on this round here. And wow, I definitely have to keep on my Vita, just because he does have the chance of dropping my magic level pretty significantly. And we want to make sure that I'm at least healing decent. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have to put that shield back on. Silencers actually deal pretty heavy damage. Not insane, but it's heavy enough to be a little uncomfortable for me with my spellbook on. So back to the Mastermind shield we go. And just using the heavy energy attacks, you know, nothing new. And I get a Haunted Blade immediately, so that's funny. That's actually the first